Project. So in this short video, I'll just be talking about Candace's weapon options. Originally, I had planned to do this before the update, but of course, it happened, and so now I actually have her, so we'll just do it with her now, with her on the screen instead, but that's fine. Yeah, so let's just get to it. Good luck to all of you for your polls as well. So now that 3.1 is live, so I'm gonna have to build her, obviously, so. But anyway, as you can see on the screen, I gave her the prototype Starglitter, but that's just my choice, but that's totally doesn't mean that you have to do this, but I'm going to go over all the options that are good for her. Now, she's clearly a support character, but she can be a sub-DPS or a DPS too, perhaps, depending on how you build her. Of course, you can build her those ways, but she's meant to be a support character, and you can kind of see based on the trial dungeon that they gave her the catch in there. And in terms of artifacts, they gave her the two-piece tenacity, and they gave her, I think, emblem, I think for energy or something like that. I think, right, vaguely. And so I didn't have any other emblem pieces to give her that were HP focused. So in the end, I gave her gladiator pieces, and I'm just giving her whatever I had. So these are not this is not final, but this is what I had that was left over that other characters were not using. And obviously, some of them are not even level 20 out of 20 yet. But then she's a 4-star character. You don't need everything to be 20 out of 20. So it's up to you if you want to spend your resources that way. Usually, I'm okay with just 16. But you know, in her case, I might bring like the ones that have HP on them up to 20. You know, so let's not go into too much about her like build because obviously she's not fully built yet. I don't have her pieces because they're only available now after the launch. So we're gonna focus this video on the weapon options for her. So I gave her the prototype, and the reason why is in the trial dungeon they gave her the catch, right, which is an energy recharge weapon. I have it here, and it's for her elemental burst and burst crit rate. However, as per using her in the trial dungeon, although you do the burst and it gives you some energy, some damage. I mean, but then at the end of the day, you end up swapping her out, and then the thing with her burst, and I'm quickly going to bring that up because I do have her on the screen, is that basically it allows you to infuse the next character that comes on, Sword, Claymore, or Polearm, with Hydro Infusion, right? And then, you know, there's a rippling wave and hydro damage and all of that good stuff, right? But then, like, realistically, if you don't keep her on the field, you end up proccing it just so that other characters can benefit from it, really, right? You know? And, of course, it scales off her HP. So then there are no, other than the Steph Homa, which is an HP passive, you wouldn't give this to her anyway because I don't think that her point is to be on the field or stay on the field very long after you proc it, her burst. So that's why I wouldn't bother with any of the 5-star weapons unless you have lots of 5-star weapons left over that you want to give her. So the purpose of this video is not to talk about the Homa or Engulfing Lightning, which is going to be an awesome energy recharge weapon, but it's mostly paired with Emblem, and I didn't even do that for her. I wouldn't bother with Primordial Jade for like critical rate and all that. There's no point really, because she's not really going to be on the field doing much damage for you. And then Skyward Spine, I wouldn't bother with giving this to her either unless no other character was using it. Now this would be the best 5-star energy polearm, energy recharge polearm, and it does have some nice passive aspects to it too. So this is not bad for her, but in my case, I gave it to Shenhe instead. And other characters can utilize it too. So Sarah's Spine is not bad for her, I'll be honest. And the design is kind of interesting because it does look kind of good on her, like with the Egyptian gold theme. So I gave her this. This is not bad too, the gold, the dark gold kind of theme. As you can see, it's energy recharge. The passive is after you use an elemental skill, then her normal and charge attacks have a little extra damage. It's okay. It's not the best, but it's okay, right? Another great option would be the Favonius, but then you'd have to build her for crit so that you can get the extra energy from the passive. So, and because I didn't bother with building the second Favonius yet, and I gave the other one to Yunjin, right? So then I just decided to give her what no one else was using. So that's my real takeaway on this, right? Other interesting options to consider. So I wouldn't bother considering the catch for her because again, it goes back to if you plan to use her burst and using her on the field to do the burst damage more often or not. I mean, I don't know how it works if they're swapped out, if they still get the burst damage, maybe, I don't know. But in my case, I think actually it does work because in my case the burst damage is for like when Xiangling is off field and her Pyronado is spinning around. So yes, the catch would work well for Candace. However, Xiangling is a much better character, so that's why the catch is reserved for Xiangling. Okay, so now other quick ones to quickly talk about. I would skip the Lithic because she's not even from, obviously, Liyue, and you may not pair her with that many Liyue characters to take full advantage. And we talked about Promoter, we're not going to talk about that. So some interesting ones I think are very interesting to consider are Dragon's Bane. I really considered this one earlier. I was going to level it up because I do have an R5, she does have obviously Hydro for the passive, for the Hydro damage bonus, and the Elemental Mastery is nice. It's good for if you're swapping her out and then you're proccing other elemental reactions with her. So I think Dragon's Bane is actually a really good option for her as well, especially if you want to use her for reaction teams. Again, I just went back with what no one else was using and what I already had that was leveled up already, to level 90. So I didn't really have to think too much, right, for that. Another one that I really looked at was the Dragon Spine as well as the Crescent Pike. Now, Crescent Pike is best. It was good for Shangling already, but it's good for, of course, Rosaria, who's more of a physical cryo dealer, and it works well for her, right? But the Crescent Pike and the Dragon Spine Spear are also great options for Candace. And for Candace, you can technically turn her into a physical because she doesn't apply that much Hydro based on her trial dungeon usage. And realistically, this has an interesting passive. Remember, if you have this at higher, refines it'll proc more consistently, but you can form the Everfrost Icicle and then it can freeze enemies temporarily perhaps because she's Hydro after all, right? So that could be something to consider, and this is a very interesting option. Now, I do have it at level 60 and I didn't bother ascending it further or leveling it up further, and I obviously don't have it at high refines either. So that's why I chose not to go with this option, but I think it's a great option to consider. If you want to make her more DPS-y and you are willing to pay for the battle pass or you're a small spender like myself, you might have a deathmatch. And right now, I'm currently, as you can see, no character is currently using the deathmatch. And this is okay for her too, because the passive is a very easy to understand passive and it gives her crit rate. And this is more if you want to build her for a sub-DPS or DPS role. Having said that, though, for a completely free-to-play, you might have a Black Cliff Pole, and this works really well. The only problem is the passive is not sustainable because you have to kill enemies in order to get the passive stacks. And if you are only encountering a single enemy, like a boss or an elite, you may not be able to get the other, passive stacks up. But that's okay because it's a good stat stick nonetheless. So these are great options. But my top picks, in my personal opinion, would be Favonius. Of course, as everyone has that, I believe. Prototype starglitter, I'm fine with it, right? And then, of course, Dragon's Bane, if you're okay with giving her that, and of course, Catch, if you're okay with giving her that too. Having said that, the other interesting pick would be Crescent Pike and Dragon Spine Spear. And there's one more that I forgot to talk about, actually. The Katane Cross Spear. This is also not bad. This is similar to the Dragon's Bane down here because they're both Elemental Mastery and all that. And this one actually for the passive might be more suitable for her. The color scheme also looks kind of nice on her too with the purple because the Elemental Skill damage is increased, and then after the Elemental Skill hits an opponent, the character loses energy and they regain it a little bit back over time. So this could be a really good option for her. As you can see, I gave it to Toma a while back and I just left it there. But yeah, she would benefit from this too. I would be totally fine. It's not set in stone that I would give her the prototype starglitter, but yeah, this is also a great pick actually. So yeah, any of the supports weapon would be great, or maybe the physical ones if you want to try that out. I think those are great options, and of course the Skyward Spine if you're willing to give her, if no one else is using it and you have a 5-star, this would be technically her best, I would imagine, because it's energy recharge after all, and attack speed and attack crit rate and all that stuff, all that good stuff. So those are my picks for what I think are the best weapon options for her. But let me know what you guys think if you're planning to build her a certain way or what you're planning to give her, right? Yeah, let me know in the comments below. And I actually really like her overall aesthetic, and I think she moves really fluidly and smoothly. I actually like that. Unfortunately, she's just a 4-star, but if they made her a 5-star, that would have been amazing. But yeah. All right, those are my opinions. Let me know what you guys think, and stay tuned for more from me. We'll see you guys in the next